This is the new Erae Touch 2 that I just received 2 days ago. It's an upgrade to the original Erae Touch, which I've had for maybe 2 or 3 years, but exactly at this time of year I bought it, and it became a pretty big part of my life setup. Let me start off by saying that this is not sponsored. I purchased this with my own money, and because I love this, I wanted to try this out and see how this one is. Secondly, I'd normally, at the end of my videos, make a little plug about joining my Patreon this time around because of all the fires and everything happening in LA, for all the people that are suffering, including fellow musicians. I'm going to put a link down to the MusiCares site. They're a great organization that's helping musicians out. They helped us out, myself included, when the pandemic hit, and they're a great organization. If you want to consider donating to them, it would be for a great cause, and they help local musicians in LA that have been affected by the fires. Anyway, on to this. So a year ago this time, when I was at the NAMM show, I got to see the prototype that they were working on for this one. This original one had worked out really nicely for me. It's been something that's part of my live performance. It's very sturdy. It's worked out nicely. This new version, I've spent nothing but tweaking with it for the last 2 days, and it's in my humble opinion, it's a massive upgrade. First and foremost, the feel of this is just entirely different. So if you're not playing with drumsticks and if you're playing with fingers, it really makes a big difference. This one really had, it was great for what it was, and I'm still planning to use it for certain things. But the feel in this, the best I can describe it is like an upgrade of like what you would feel like if you were playing something on an iPad or something. And so there's obviously no feedback on either one of these, but at the same time, when you're running your hand on this, it feels a lot more sterile than this does. And that was the first thing. So when I tried out one of the prototypes that they were working on with this, the first thing that really stood out to me was how nice this felt. But, you know, we were just putting my hand on it and not actually having it connected or do anything. So with this, a lot of what I've done with this is just using different things to be able to use synth parts, some drum pads parts, different things like that. So I've transferred a lot of that to this. And the first thing I can show you, hopefully if you can see it, is that it's much brighter. And it's not just brighter because of its brightness, but it's because it doesn't have all these little squares that this one does have. So it has a much more clear feel to it. Secondly, it's just, it has a much more sensitive touch, which is really nice. So just playing with this, it's been a really nice upgrade. Now it's got a bunch of upgrades here that including selecting scales and being able to sequence and being able to run CVs out for external synthesizers and everything, which are great. For my purposes, and initially for what I'm using it for, is really just to be able to use sort of the same way as I've done with this. That was my initial intent, but now that I've played with it for a couple of days, I actually think this is going to become my main MP instrument. And so my controllers have always been, so with the machine, I've always loved the feel of the keys. Even though it's lacking some things, it's always been, when I'm improvising and soloing, it has a great feel to it. And obviously because it's physical keys, there's a certain sensitivity. The thing with this though is because it doesn't have MP and it doesn't have, you're not able to really do nuanced things. So one of the first things I did with this, which I wasn't really planning on doing, was to actually create something similar to what I have on here with a 16 grid system, 16 pad grid system with a couple of additional things. So where I would be doing this on this is a major pentatonic scale that I'm playing solos over one of my live tracks. So to be able to program this so that I can have the pressure sensitivity, even when it's not doing MP, have the pressure sensitivity, be able to do things like slight modulation or even filters or things like that, is really nice. And again, the feel of this to me, even now over this, there's an advantage to this because it almost feels like a cloth. It feels like something that at first feels a little weird and organic, but once you get used to it, it just has this really nice and really nicely done in terms of sensitivity. So although it's not going to replace a physical key, I still feel that for certain things that I just wouldn't think of on this one, I'm already going to do with this and be able to do program things like and program this on the back end of this is really nice. So one of the other things that I use this for is when I'm doing solos on a different setup, something like this, one of my drum and bass tracks that I use this for. And to be able to do pitch bends on this and to be able to solo, whether it's slow or quick, as you can see on this, it's the same type of setup, but it just, the feel of it is completely different on this. And the other thing is when I was doing slides on this one, I had a harder time just because you have to apply more pressure to it. But with this, it's much more, it just takes a lot less effort to do it. And then using other things that I used on this one as well, but to be able to do some pads for certain sounds. Let's see, what do I use this for? So it just feels much better. And so for me, pretty quickly over the weekend playing with this went from, the big difference to me is this went from a really, really excellent novelty instrument and a very durable one to now something that can actually be my primary MPE controller, where I would actually use it to practice, to use it to write music and do things like that. And because of the capability of being able to sequence and to be able to pick skills and different things like that. And obviously the customization of it is excellent as well. So these, for those of you that don't know, comes with a companion app where you're doing all, basically you get to customize every one of these. There's some templates that come with it, and then you can customize your own to have different shapes and different kinds of stuff that you can use for different purposes. So I have these, I have them for different songs that I play, and so you can customize that. That part was in this one as well, and it worked out really well. But I think, again, for this, the single most important thing that I've noticed that has really been a big change for me is just the tactile feel of it. And I never thought that something like this would replace actual pads, and maybe it won't. But for me, this now actually becomes a contender as a primary controller instrument. And I can't speak for the durability of it. Obviously, it's a different material. It has a lot more components in it than this does. This one time, even in an outdoor gig, got rained on and still survived. Not that that's what I expect from my gear, but obviously this has a lot more going into it. But again, I think all the trade-offs and everything, it's a huge upgrade for me, and I'm looking forward to continuing to use it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions about this, as I work this through my setup, I'd be happy to answer it. Leave a comment and I'll do my best to answer questions about this. Thanks for watching.